Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to yet another edition of Prime Time, the programme for the young at heart. We're on the sofa now with Kim, who's here from the council, Kim Herivel, and she is the home energy efficiency, but general housing renewals. General housing renewal, part of the general housing renewal team. And obviously with the winter coming on, this is an area of considerable concern, I think, for a lot of our viewers, people who are getting on in their years. And you have a whole number of options for people, as I understand from our discussion prior to this, to find ways of keeping themselves warm and looking after themselves over the winter, yeah?
Yeah, we have access to we've got an insulation scheme which is called Warm Streets, which works alongside Warm Front. Warm Front is the government scheme for insulation and heating. But we've got Warm Streets, which is a scheme that was developed several years ago now with 7 local authorities in the Somerset area. Right. And we fund part of that along with some funding from a major energy company to provide additional support for people that really can't afford to pay towards their insulation. Okay, well, I mean, I know we had our house done with Warm Front last year, with the loft insulation and everything, and it was very good. But how do these two schemes differ from each other? Yeah, well, to be eligible, that's the Warm Front.
I think I've seen that one.
Leaflet, which basically, to be eligible for Warm Front, which incidentally you're able to get a grant for up to £3,500 towards heating and insulation.
Right.
You do need to be in receipt of certain benefits. Pension credit is one of them. And it's very simple to find out whether you're eligible for Warm Front. You can call the free phone number, which I can tell everyone if that's of interest. It's 0800 316 2814.
Excellent.
And they will give you straight away a date for a surveyor to come round and have a look at your property, see what needs to be done to make sure you're eligible, to make sure that you're in receipt of the right benefits.
Right, of course, yeah.
Then they will come along, have a look, see what needs to be done, and then they'll put it in to have that work carried out. The only drawback is the Warm Front scheme, as good as it is a very long process.
Right.
So anybody that is thinking about or is able to access this, it's very, very good because you're basically getting £3,500 worth of work done, which you don't really need to pay for.
Yeah.
But it does take time, so you have to be prepared to wait. And if somebody is waiting for help with this, we can provide a loan of a plug-in convector heater. And also we try and make sure that they've got access to hot water somehow. Usually people don't realise when heating systems break, it's suddenly a mad panic. Oh, no heating, no hot water.
Yes.
But when you break it down, in most cases people have maybe got an immersion heater that they can, although it's expensive, just for half an hour a day will give you enough hot water that you need, and then plug-in heaters, existing gas fire. If people haven't got an immersion heater with so that they can get hot water, they've usually got maybe an electric shower. So at least they can still have a warm shower. So sometimes it's a bit of a panic, but actually when you think about it, it's not too bad, because you can think. But obviously some people may experience much worse.
So that's the Warm Front.
That's the Warm Front scheme.
Okay. And basically you have to be in receipt of some benefits before you qualify for it.
They have recently reduced the number of benefits that is on the list.
Yes.
It did used to include people in receipt of disability living allowance and attendance allowance, but they've taken those out of the equation.
Right.
So it is income-based benefits.
Right. And the other one is?
And so Warm Streets is basically been sort of designed to run alongside that, and this is for everybody else. And this is for people that are not in receipt of benefits.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's different, this again, I said this is funded with, it's a joint scheme with 7 local authorities in the area.
Right.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
We've got money from a big energy company, and we provide, they provide loft insulation and cavity wall insulation. That's just a little diagram of where it can fit, and a few top tips to save money and stay warm, which is what it's all
Good.
about.
Absolutely.
And basically the Warm Street Scheme, the phone number to call if you'd like a free survey. Again, they'll come round, tell you what you need,
Really
and then
good.
do it for you if you want them to.
Yeah.
The free phone number for that is 0800 512 012.
Right.
Right, and what's the cut-off point for that? Is there a maximum minimum income or something?
Basically, there's two parts to it. One is if it doesn't matter how old you are, but if your household income is £30,000 a year or less, and you have no more than £20,000 in savings, you would be eligible to have your loft and cavity wall insulation done at no cost through this scheme.
That's a terrific piece of news.
It is, isn't it?
If your income is over that level and you're saving, you've got more than 20,000, you do have to pay towards it, but you don't pay the whole amount, so you do get a discounted rate.
That's brilliant.
So that's very good. And again, the people, the installers are they come from Bristol, so it's fairly local. And the waiting times for that, I don't believe they're too long. So
that's really good.
That was the only thing with the Warm Front scheme.
Yes.
You will have to wait
Yeah.
a considerable amount of time.
Well, I think it's really good to know that there's something for householders who, yes, maybe have a pension, but who do not earn receipt of benefits. It's really good to know there's something aimed at them as well, because very often they feel, I'm not getting any benefits, so I'm not entitled to it.
Lots of people think there's nothing out there for them.
Absolutely.
By the way, it is only for people that own their own home.
Right.
Or rent from a private individual landlord.
Does that include housing associations?
No.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It's just homeowners.
Why that would be.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know when we were talking earlier, you were talking about, you say you have a number of teams now in the whole housing thing. Perhaps you'd like to talk about those a bit.
The housing team basically has, it's a private sector housing services. We've got 4 teams, which we always have had.
Right.
We've always had an obligation to look after, if you like, people in, not look after, but assist people in the private sector who own their own homes or privately rent, if they're unable to maybe maintain their property to a safe, warm standard. We might be able to provide them with a low interest loan to repair a leaking roof, or very faulty, dangerous electric cables, and we're kind of there. It's the housing renewals team. Right. So we provide assistance to people in their own homes to do that. We also administer the disabled facility grants, which are available, and they are for providing a stair lift or installing a walk-in bath, wet room, a shower adaptation. We make sure that person is getting what's suitable for their needs, and then we administer the grant, etc. We also try and identify any empty properties that are out there.
Yes.
Because we need to know where they are so we can find the owner and see if we can get them to bring it back into use, because there's lots of people out there that are in need of a home, so we don't want empty properties sort of sitting empty for long periods of time.
So your team's really got a very comprehensive grasp on the whole situation of housing in North Somerset and what's needed for people.
The other thing that we do is we do investigate poorly kept homes. So properties maybe in not very good condition, or we get referrals from various sources for people that can't actually manage anymore. I think you've all seen the programmes, the
Indeed.
Life of Grime and the Grime Fighters and that kind of thing. We have to deal with those properties.
Sure,
when people get themselves in a pickle and they can't, it's all a bit too much and they can't manage to, they can't keep their property in a clean kind of, you know.
I know. I live in Langford, and we had an elderly lady just down the road from us in the house, which you could see was literally falling to pieces around her.
Yeah.
And then she was taken and put into care about a year ago. And it's actually the guy who's bought it now is totally had to take the whole interior out. He's building a piece. I mean, it's a complete rebuild, really, because it was in such a dreadful condition, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult when people are left alone. Obviously, that is the time. If you know, her husband dies, wife is left alone, very often her mental health will deteriorate a little bit as well, and things will get on top of her. And if there's no family to help and support, it's really difficult to know where they can go for help.
But I think it's important to know that, for people to know that there is help out there for them, and they just need to make a call just to the council or to whoever they think that can.
Citizens Advice Bureau would be another good place, surely, presumably, to go.
Yeah, I mean, the Council Connect number is a general sort of one-stop shop number, which is 01274.
And I would say as well, if I could...
Well done!
No, but I would have thought it was important for people who have concerns, say elderly people on their own, that they make the call, because quite often elderly people feel
left to them,
very inhibited about doing it, or feel they're asking for charity. Do you know what I mean? And all that kind of thing.
Very proud.
Out of that generation, and find it really hard to take that step.
So that's the housing renewals team. We've then got another team, the private rented team, who deal with, they give guidance and advice to landlords and private tenants on housing conditions. You know, some properties in the private sector, privately rented sector, are in not too good a condition. So we're able to help guide landlords to help them to get those properties up to standard, and then provide advice to tenants if they're finding it difficult to be there. And obviously we manage the Gypsy and Traveller encampments that come along.
Of course, yes, you would.
And also enforce legislation for the houses in multiple occupation, make sure they've all got the correct licences and that they're able to be there as a house with more than so many people living there.
So a huge remit, really.
So that's that. And then there's the other two teams, very quickly. The Home Choice and Housing Advice team. They manage the housing register, which used to be the waiting list. It's not a waiting list anymore. Basically now people... I mean, I'm not an expert in all of these things, but just an overview, but they basically manage that register, and people have to bid now for a property from a social registered landlord, for example, Alliance Homes, if they wanted to...
Who run, as I understand from you, or what was the council housing in North Somerset?
There are no council houses in North Somerset.
Right.
They were sold about 5 years ago to what was then North Somerset Housing, and they are now Alliance Homes, and they are responsible for all of those properties. I think there are about 6,000 altogether. But going back to the private housing, we still have, we're... cut that bit out, I think.
That's okay, no problem.
But the private housing team obviously look after all the others, and there's 80,000 properties in North Somerset, so that little 6,000 that, you know. And then the other team, strategy and enabling team, they deal with, they help the housing associations develop new housing developments.
Right.
And they write policy, and they deal with sheltered leasehold accommodation. The council still have got some sheltered leasehold accommodation that people can actually buy and then sort of sell back.
Has Weston got a lot of brownfield sites? Because I know there's this whole planning debate that's going on now about opening lots of the countryside up for housing. But I think the general design is that they should be on brownfield sites before they go on to greenfield sites.
I'm not sure, to be honest. Absolutely. I wouldn't know about that.
And I think really it's better to concentrate on the houses, the empty houses, for instance, because we all know there are a great many of them, which could provide affordable housing for people.
Yeah, I mean, going back to sort of being warm and safe and you know, being happy during the winter.
Sure.
You know, there's lots of things that people can look out for. Again, neighbours, friends, relatives. Yeah. You know, if you go into somebody's home and they're just in one room with the gas fire full on and the rest of the house is freezing, there might be an issue there with, there might not be any other heating. They might not know how to use the heating. Yeah. They might be worried about using it because of the bills. Yes. Yeah. Fuel poverty is a massive issue. There are, in 2008, the figures showed in North Somerset there were over 10,000 fuel poor households, which means they spend more than 10% of their income on their energy bills. So that figure's probably much higher now. And when it's cold, people are worried and they have to make a decision about whether they put the heating on or whether they go and have a hot meal. It's the little signs that might show someone's worried about the heating bill. They might not have the heating on. So we can look at, and then obviously we can make sure that they've got their insulation, which will reduce their bills, make them warmer, make sure they've got a decent heating system and it's working.
Well, Kim, it's been very nice to meet you, and thank you for coming along. And just so that people out there know, we'll be posting up all the details of how to contact the council and Kim's section of it at the end of this programme. And please come back again next week and see us. We're talking to someone else from the council next week,
We are indeed. I believe we have community learning coming
on. So
all the courses that they do.
Good.
And obviously, hopefully, a second guest as well, which would be great.
Good. See you then. Bye.